worldview. Our worldview is the worldview of warriors. The Immortals did not declare war, but they were forced to react to the threat of being covered with a cloth woven by Demiurge, with the plagiarism that would extinguish their skies, their homes, their primordial egg, and bring an end to their totality. The reaction was to enter the war and use the same tactics and strategy as the attacker to penetrate the enemy's universe, to put on this impure matter with an aim to undermine this universe from the inside, taking hostages at need, voluntarily putting everything on a card of great battle of cycles, risking to become prisoners of the circle of eternal return. There are countless worlds that are different from each other, but located not in different spatial sectors, but as if overlapping each other. Worlds that intersect, parallel, not meeting and not sensing each other, but contacting each other intuitively. In one of these worlds, just as a strange curse, pronounced curse, the Demiurge arose, and he penetrated the universe of the spirit like a disease, like the virus Vitralalva, as Araukans called it, an explosive virus. He opened a window, a wound, and penetrated through it. And it was this explosion that caused a chain reaction that reached the ultra-cosmic egg, the cosmogonic eris, roundly closed, integral in itself. And he divided it. This is where lies the beginning of evil, the split of Anthropos, who was the whole of the Melothesia, the otherworldly lord, Vinaya, the total man. Plagiarism of the Demiurge is also where the perversion of this universe, which was once pure, beautiful and perfect, is rooted. The explosion divides, atomizes. From the integrity of the primordial egg, the Demiurge obtains by dividing his kingdoms in rocks, his minerals, his mountains, rivers, seas and air, his animals and his plants. Nostalgia in the look of these creatures, even in the look of inanimate beings, is one for a lost totality, for a stolen unified world, unus mundus. The version of the original world is expressed in the involution of its substance. Conversely, the plagiarism of the Demiurge on the original fabric corresponds to the failed attempt of the evolutionary process, stuck on one point due to creative weakness, frozen without the possibility of further development on on the stage of Neanderthal man, a huge humanoid monkey, this product of the evolution of the human archetype. The Demiurge copied the human form of the cosmic archetype, Anthropos, the total man, God, but he was quite unable to endow it with a spirit. Moreover, he perverted the divine man, imprisoning him, transformed him into a biological robot, while still failing to defeat him. And animals are the crystallized properties of total man, which have taken forms visible in the biosphere. So a dog, for example, is the opposite of God. A dog is a god hopelessly eager to restore his divinity. The dog is the inverted god. Therefore, the Immortals were forced to enter this war, being faced with the need to find an answer to the diabolical strategy of the enemy. The original world, Paradesha, is not at any point in the visible universe. It is here, near, below us or above us. All we need is to scrape the fabric so that the true creation appears. And there we will see the suffering God having the same human form. The ancients were right in portraying the gods in human form, as this is the archetype that manifests itself in all universes. The stars themselves are gigantic people imprisoned in a dungeon of nature and constantly replicated in smaller and smaller sizes. We do not see the inhabitants of other worlds because our eyes are not able to perceive their matter. They are designed for the perception of objects only of our earthly space and in our earthly time. The sky has the form of a man, said Swedenborg. Everything is arranged just like some Persian, Chinese and Hindu miniatures, in which other creatures, smaller in size but similar in shape, are depicted inside people and animals, or like Russian Matryoshka. So, both our cells and visible stars are similar to the cells of the body of the giant, the prisonless star, which can be released only thanks to our efforts and as a result of our victory over the great jailer. But this victory, alas, is often hampered by God himself. This entire universe of visible and material stars made of fire, ice and plasma is the field of the Demiurge, the prison where he has imprisoned the gods, enslaving them. He has thrown the fabric of his falsification onto the pre-existing other nature, divine nature, and continues to stretch it down to the worlds of the Immortals, winning battle after battle until everything is destroyed but his own purely mechanical actions. At the end of the Kalpa, when his final energy is exhausted and he is forced to start anew, the same story. Since one of his main prisoners is the god of time, Kronos Saturn, who himself is eternal. Thus, the gods themselves allow their executioner to survive, feeding him with their energy, which restores his will to power and makes it possible for him to start all over again in the eternal return of the same thing. The Demiurge always finds food that allows him to continue his existence, the existence of the cosmic vampire. He holds the divine prisoners inside the hypnotic circle of his devilish will. But there are other archetypes and spheres, the whole of the pleroma, and such entities as the theosophical Maitreya and Christ of Judeo-Christianity are voluntary agents in the service of the Demiurge. A similar agent is the drawing power, as opposed to the power of plasmation, with its hypothetical gravitational waves, and therefore space and time themselves are agents as well. The mechanistic science of our day, the rationalistic and so-called objective technique, materialistic mechanics and chemistry, deal only with a visible universe, filled only with mathematical abstractions, and not with concrete objects. Scientists who practice such an approach do not imagine that such concepts as measurement, force, energy are intelligent beings who possess, among other things, the human form. Although it remains invisible to bodily eyes, mountains, rivers, seas, trees are all sentient, sensible, and archetypal beings, invisible to most people. But Divyas and Viras of the prehistory knew about this and could keep in touch with these creatures. Their science was geomancy. But not all gods were affected by demiurgic hypnosis. As we have just said, some of them began to cooperate voluntarily, naively convinced that they could participate in the falsifying actions of the Demiurge, but at the decisive moment turned the tide of events towards a more positive goal. They probably wanted to avoid the great catastrophe of Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods. And when they realized that they were just inertial prisoners in the network of the kidnapper and the perverter, it was already too late. One of such neutral gods was the god Kronos Saturn, the god of time, forced from some point to rotate in the eternal circle of return. The drama of such gods spreads up to all-from-formed Eschenbachs, neutral angels in Parzival, and white traitors, that is, those devious who agreed to cooperate with Golem Yahweh, believing in the positiveness of his plans, in the significance of their personal participation, convinced that they were somehow able to change his law if necessary. Finally, the chain of betrayal ends on those Viras, heroes, who were so spiritually asleep or browbeaten that they agreed to betray the divinity of their origin and their Hyperborean blood, entering the service here on earth to agents of the same Demiurge. These can no longer be called heroes.